Scholars, it's me, Dr. Christy, and I have a book for you today. The book is called Calvin Can't Fly. Now listen as I read this word fly. It says I. Do you see that Y at the end of the word fly? And it makes the sound I. Yeah, when you have a really short word with a Y at the end, the Y usually sounds like I. When you have a really short word with the Y at the end, the Y usually says I. So I've got some words to read to you today. Let's look at this and you make the sounds with me. When you see the letter, you make the sound you see. It's a no guess zone. We don't look at the whole word and then try to say the word. It'll come to us eventually. But for beginning readers, we make the sounds we see. It's a no guess zone. So this word says yeah. Oh wait, I remember the rule. When you have a really short word with the Y at the end, the Y usually says I. So let's make the sounds again, knowing what I know. I. Fly. Yes, like the book I'm going to read to you today called Calvin Can't Fly. Let's look at this one. It says I. I. Sky. That's it. Did you hear it when I said the sounds? Look at this one. I. My. You got it. Good for you. Let's see what else we can do. Ooh, let's give this one a try. I. Try. Yes, that one says try. Sometimes when kids spell the word try, that T and the R side by side kind of sounds like CH. Don't be tricked. Try, I is TRY. I. How about this word? I. Cry. Do you get that? It's a really short word. If you have a really short word with a Y at the end, the Y says I. Ooh, remember when you have an S and an H side by side, you make that one sound, shh. Let's go. Shh. I. Shh. I. Do you feel shy sometimes? I do. All right, let's try the next word. Let's see if I can get these papers apart to give you some more practice. Oh, this is a good one. This is the word by, but it's not like this book was written by Jennifer Byrne. It's not that kind of by. This one has a little slot where you could put some money right inside there. Do you see? If the word buy has the letter U, that means you can buy something if you exchange money for it. It has a little slot right there for you to slip a coin or a dollar bill. Buy. Now, if we didn't have that U, then that word is like I'm sitting by my friend, or this book is by Jennifer Byrne. Buy. The one with the U is the one where you can buy something with money. Let's go to the next word. Did you know that just like QU can say qua and BU can say b, sometimes GU just says g. So this word says I. Like I really like that guy. Here's the last one. We remember that SH says shh. WH is a tricky one because WH either says w or h. Usually it says w, and it does in this word, w. I. Why? That's a question word. Why? So now I'm going to read this book. Knowing what we know about short little words with a Y at the end, the Y says I, we're going to read this book, Calvin Can't Fly. I love the pictures, don't you? Calvin Can't Fly, the story of a bookworm birdie. Calvin is a starling. He was born under the eaves of an old barn with his 3 brothers, 4 sisters, 67,432 cousins. Starlings have big families. Right from the beginning, Calvin was different. Right from the day all the little starlings tumbled out of their nests to discover the world. Charlie discovered worms, Adeline discovered grass, Clement discovered dirt, Aubrey discovered water, and Calvin, well, Calvin discovered a book. While all of Calvin's cousins chased beetles, bugs, and ants, Calvin was learning to read letters, words, and sentences. At night, his cousins dreamed of insect eating and garbage picking. Calvin dreamed of adventure stories, legends, and poetry. He even dreamed that someday he'd become a great writer himself. On June 1st, when all the little starlings lined up for flying lessons with their teacher, Mrs. Wingstead, that's Mr. Wingstead, Calvin was nowhere to be seen. Where is that bird? Actually, Calvin was in the library. As the other little starlings were learning to swoop and to hover and fly figure eights, Calvin buried his beak in books, and there his mind soared. Calvin read about pirates and cavemen, volcanoes and rainbows, whales and dinosaurs. Calvin especially loved dinosaurs. He learned how the planets circle the sun, what makes the wind blow, and amazing facts like how caterpillars grow up to become butterflies. His books took him to places wings never could, and his heart fluttered with excitement. Calvin's cousins called him Nerdy Birdie, Geeky Beaky, and Bookworm. And when you're a bird, being called a worm is a very bad thing. Calvin ruffled his feathers and mumbled, "Oh, how the wounding words of scorn do sting." Then he sadly waddled back to the library, the only place where he was happy. And so he spent all summer reading, learning, and absorbing everything his little starling mind could. Until the first leaf turned orange and fell to the ground. The fall wind sent a chill through the old barn. Summer's nests blew to the floorboards. It was time to head south. His cousins warned Calvin, "You'd better learn to fly. In a couple of days, we've got to be out of here." Calvin said, "Ah, yes, migration. I've read about that." His sister asked, "Calvin, can you fly?" Calvin had to admit he couldn't. All the other starlings took off in a giant formation, but Calvin could only stand and watch. A big, lonely tear rolled down his cheek. Calvin turned and trudged back toward the old barn. He was so upset he didn't even notice his brothers and sisters and cousins coming back to get him. All of a sudden, they were tying up Calvin's middle with string and scraps of cloth they had found in the garbage. They grasped the other ends with their beaks, and off they flew with Calvin, somewhat embarrassed, safely in tow. For days and days they flew. Calvin recognized the rivers, mountains, and towns he had read about all summer. Excitedly, he pointed them out to his brothers, sisters, and cousins, but the other little starlings just flapped their wings and headed south. I love the lipstick on this cow. Soon, there came a day when the winds blew especially hard. Trees bent sideways, leaves scattered wildly, flying became harder and harder. The air had an odd smell to it, the smell of danger. Calvin, remembering back to his favorite weather book, warned the rest of his family, "A hurricane! A hurricane is coming!" All his brothers and sisters and cousins asked, "What's a hurricane?" Calvin explained as quickly as his little beak could, "We need to get out of the path of a violent tropical weather system, which is storming up the coast at a tremendous speed and will not diminish until it encounters large stretches of landmass. Everybody, make haste into that cave." They had no idea what Calvin was saying, but they had to admit it did sound real. So the flock made a loop-de-loop left, a dipsy-doodle right, and dove into the cave. They did everything Calvin told them to. To their amazement, a great storm did blow across the land. It thundered over the mountains. It roared through the villages. It smashed and crashed, rumbled and raged, just as Calvin had predicted. The whole big starling family gathered together, watching in fear and awe. The storm finally ended. The sun came out in the sky. Ooh, 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 do you see that? Sky. It's a short little word with a Y at the end. The Y says I. The sun came out in the sky, and the starlings came out of their cave. They were safe and sound, all because of Calvin. They celebrated with a great starling party in honor of Calvin. They ate big juicy worms and yummy crunchy beetles. They danced and sang songs about how Calvin had saved their lives. They toasted Calvin with acorn caps filled with fresh, clear mountain water. Calvin was so happy and felt so good deep down inside that he jumped and hopped and danced and leaped his wings, or flapped his wings and flapped his wings and flapped his wings. All the other starlings looked at him in amazement. "Calvin, you can fly!" they exclaimed. And Calvin, the happiest starling in the whole wide world, chirped, "Why, yes, I do believe I can." And they all flew south with big, wide smiles on their little starling faces, especially Calvin. I hope you enjoyed the story, Calvin Can't Fly, the story of a bookworm birdie. And I hope you remember the lesson I taught you about when you have a short little word with a Y at the end, the Y usually says I. See you soon, scholars. Have a great day.